Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is? Time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And if you guys like these type of videos, please remember to click like down below. But I had a subscriber who awared me of a video that Marc Lobliner, aka Marc Pocket Liner, aka the CEO of Tiger Fitness made, in which he discussed honey in one of his protein bars. So let me go ahead and put on my +5 hat of speechcraft and let's talk about this. Now, I know this isn't a current event, but I was mainly just shocked at what he said. And he said, well, in his Instagram story, he mentioned this, but I found a video. So I'm going to say he allegedly said this in his Instagram story because I couldn't see the story because I'm not on Instagram. So I don't actually have the ability to watch the story. So he allegedly said. So I will state that I do not have confirmation that Marc actually said this. If he said it, it's a bit of a problem. And if he didn't say it, then it's not a problem. Pretty straightforward. You guys can take that up with him or check his story for yourself. But they're claiming that he said that honey, perfectly safe and not a problem for diabetics. Well, that's not actually true. But the thing that got me is that he made this video talking about his Whole Foods protein bar. Now, I get it. You know, Marc's hustle is the whole supplement game. That's his spiel. That's his hustle. That's his shtick. That's what he does, right? He sells supplements. I think most supplements don't work. It's my opinion. That's how I feel about it. Now, does that mean I don't use a little protein powder or a little creatine? Of course not. I'm just very, very picky with my protein powder. I don't think it's essential. I think it's a convenience item. Right? I think it's a convenience item, and I think most of them give you gas and everything else. Quality matters. I personally use Optimal Nutrition. That's the only protein powder I will use anymore. My personal preference, based upon data that's looked at it, consumer reports, stuff like that. That is literally the only protein powder I've used in years, if I use any at all. I'm currently using it, but I go months at a time without it. So the point is, I use a few supplements, not many. And something like bars I just don't get. I don't understand the whole point. They're usually just a bunch of refined garbage, and at the end of the day, it's still just a big clumped up amount of stuff that people put together. It's calorically dense and everything else. Now, that being said, can it replace candy bars for children? Yeah, probably. Is his bar that he's got made up here that he's talking about, is it better than giving your kid a candy bar? Yes, absolutely. Right, I will state that's true. That's a point he made in the video. That, you know, if you had to choose between giving this to your child or a candy bar, well, his protein bar would actually be a better choice. I don't think that's an unreasonable stance. But to go to the other points that he made when he talked about honey in it, you know, he went on about the health benefits of honey. I don't think honey, outside of certain things, is particularly amazing. And I don't think someone who's prone to diabetes or people with certain issues should probably be consuming very much honey. And his point about the fructose really isn't that valid, because our issue with fructose is quantitative. All right, that's usually our concern with fructose. It's quantitative, and he's talking about it's a slow digesting carb. Honey is not a slow digesting carb. Honey is a very fast absorbing carb. Furthermore, it does have a lot of fructose in it. If you're consuming large amounts of honey, can it push you beyond the safe threshold of fructose in terms of where we're concerned with issues? Yes, it absolutely can. So to pretend that that's not the case, that's just not true. Just because something is a natural sugar, that's not necessarily what we're concerned with. We're not concerned from a long-term health perspective with is something a sugar or not. Right? Because sugar is a pretty ambiguous term. What we're concerned about is the total amount of fructose. And he pointed out honey is 50% fructose. Well, so is table sugar, Marc. So is table sugar. Now, does honey have some health benefits in the right context? Yeah, absolutely. Does it have some potentials if you consume too much of it? Yeah, because it's fructose. It's 50% fructose by calorie. We know, based upon all the available data, that when you chronically consume at least 50 grams of fructose every day, you start running into various potential health problems, particularly for people who are already carrying too much body fat. Right? There's pretty good data on that at this point. That seems to be kind of that threshold. Well, if you're dealing with something like that, he says it's mostly honey. So let's say 17 grams of honey per bar. Is that what's on there? I would need to read the label, but if I recall from the video, that's approximately what's in there. Well, that's 50% fructose. That's what, at least 8 grams of fructose. That's a pretty good chunk of your maximum limit. Right? That could be a big deal. Now, is that to say that someone who eats one of these bars per day is getting too much fructose? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, one bar, no. 8 grams of fructose is not going to significantly affect you. But their other point that, oh, we need some sugar in our diet. You don't need any sugar in your diet. What? You need sugar in your diet for mood, energies, performance? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I consume like pretty much a zero sugar diet. At least by that context of what they're counting as sugar. I'm on a keto diet full time these days. That's what I choose to do. If I get carbs, it's usually from Greek yogurt, which is one of the lowest glycemic index carbs known to man, because cultured lactose, ultra low. And there's not that much even in my Greek yogurt. That maybe what's in my broccoli, what's in my spinach. If I eat a few pecans, there's a couple grams in there. But we're talking very, very small quantities. I'd be willing to bet I can outlift 95%. I bet you I'm stronger and faster, even in my 40s, than 95 to 98% of his followers. I'd be willing to bet it. And I'm not saying Marc's not a strong guy. Marc is a jack strong guy. I'll give credit where credit is due. You know, we can talk about a lot of these guys do too much fluff and pump and goof off. Marc's a strong dude. Like, I'm not going to lie. As far as bodybuilders go, a lot of times I make fun of bodybuilders for being weak. Too much fluff and pump, too much gear. Marc's a strong guy. And I'll give credit for that. I'm not going to say he's not, because he is. Realistically, he is. Dude's strong. He does train heavy. He does train hard. But to claim that we have to have sugar for performance is just not true. To claim that honey can't contribute just as much as a table sugar can to your total fructose intake, that's not true. To claim that it's a slow digesting carb, compared to what? Compared to what? A straight glucose injection in an IV? Okay, maybe compared to that, but compared to other normal foods that people eat, it is not a slow digesting carb. Now, does he got slow digesting carbs in the bar? Sure, he's got oats in there. Got peanut butter in there. That's pretty slow digesting carb. Now, will the honey be slower digesting in that bar than if you drink it straight? Yeah, because he's got fiber and he's got fat in it. I'm personally not a fan of combining fats with sugars. I don't think that's a particularly good idea from a health and body composition perspective, says me. Does that mean it will always cause fat gain? Of course not. Of course not. You still have to deal with calories in, calories out. Not a particularly good combination from that perspective. I mean, this is still not something that I would say, hey, this is a great thing to eat. Is it mostly whole food? Sure. You're still throwing a bunch of fructose in with a bunch of fat. And peanut butter's an okay fat. It's an okay fat, but it's not that phenomenal. In fact, the data kind of shows that as far as nuts go, peanut butter, even from a body composition perspective, and everything else, maybe not the best fat source. It's all right, but it's not special. It's not magical. It's not really in the category of what we call a good fat. We pretend it is. More of a benign fat. But you're still dealing with something that's pretty calorically dense, pretty hyperpalatable. You've now blended it all together into something that's going to be easy to overeat. I don't know if that's ideal for most people. I personally wouldn't buy it and eat it. Is it better than these other bars that are out there? That's the question. Sure. But you're still dealing with a bunch of fructose in there. The fact that it's natural is largely irrelevant. It kind of falls back to that whole naturalistic fallacy in the bodybuilding. We got natural bodybuilders, and then we got not natural bodybuilders. I think we should start calling them organic and GMO bodybuilders, personally. I think that would be better. What do you guys think of that? But the main point of this was just the ludicrous idea that because he's got honey in there, that's dramatically better than putting table sugar. It really isn't. Most of your health benefits from honey that we would think of are from getting local honeys. Like if you have an allergy to some of the local pollens in the air, a local honey might help with that, right? It may help with that. It may not be a bad idea. But if he's not getting the honey locally where you live and putting that in your product for you, and he's doing it up in, Ohio or wherever, he's getting a honey there, and you live in California or Texas or Florida, you're not getting that benefit. Not getting that benefit. You're basically just back to getting table sugar, and it really is. It is very similar in terms of glycemic index, fructose load, everything else. It's pretty much table sugar. Unless you're getting some of those benefits from a local honey, and it has to do with antihistamines and dealing with allergies if you have a local pollen allergy. Largely irrelevant in the context of your larger audience and your larger customer base. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.